Good morning. It's July 20th. It's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. And since I haven't walked around the along the creek yet this week, why is it so wet out here? It didn't rain last night. It must just be dew. Well, it was very humid, so I don't think it rained. It actually looked like it did rain again. It must have rained. This can't just be dew. Huh. Everything's wet. I did not think it had rained. Anyway, I haven't walked along the creek yet this week, so I'm going to do that. It's very wet. Clearly it rained. It either rained or it got so much dew that it's dripping out of the trees and making everything wet. That seems unlikely. Anyway, it's a lovely morning. It's only going to 24 today, so it's cooled off quite a bit. The rain kind of broke the hot heat we were having, and now it's more in the 20s instead of the 30s. The next few days, anyway. Work-wise, publishing, editing, all that stuff. I'm doing an interview this morning with an author named Dawn Ireland. Looking forward to that. That's for the podcast, of course. There'll be a new podcast this weekend with Honor Raconteur is the author in question. Who will be on this weekend. Oh, there you go. This is dry. Could it really just be dew from the trees that's making it so wet back there? I think it is. Nah, can't be. Well, when I get up here where there aren't any trees overhanging, maybe I can tell better, but I see it's damp here too. Must have rained. That's silly to think it's just dew. Clearly it rained. Anyway, Honor Raconteur. So she's coming up this weekend on the podcast. The newest book from Shadowpaw Press is The Legend of Sarah, which is by Leslie Gadala, a classic science fiction novel written by a Canadian author, published by Del Rey Books back in 1988. Happy to bring that out in a new edition. I'm still waiting for the print to go all the way through. It's on Amazon, but I'm waiting for the Ingram version, which will then go out through all the other bookstores. It's running slow, much slower than usual for the processing, but I think I know why. So I'm sure that'll pop up any day now. And then I will make that available to all the bookstores, and then it'll start showing up at, Barnes & Noble and everywhere else. Of course, my other recent release was the picture book, What If You Could, by Lynn Harley. It sold a few copies as she continues her trek across Canada, parts of Canada. She's riding a bike, but across large chunks of Canada, not the whole thing, and to promote the book and also to raise money for jack.org, which is a mental health charity focused on youth mental health. A portion of every book sale goes to that. At the moment, that's not a lot of money, but if it keeps selling, there'll be more. You can actually hear the water down there at the bridge because the lake will be high, and I would imagine the creek is very high too. It's hard to tell here, but when we get a little further down, we should be able to see that it's high. Don't worry, I'm not high. Just the creek. Well, unless I'm John Denver, sunshine on my shoulders makes me high. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. I guess it's sunshine on the water. Looks so lovely. Sunshine always makes me high. Is that where the high comes in? Something like that. I'd have to start at the beginning. I don't know. Sure, that line's in there somewhere. Looking very lush down there. Getting quite large plants now. And that bit of garden we walk by all the time. Everything smells very lush too after all the rain. So we'll go out tonight for dinner for my birthday. That'd be nice. My daughter's asking me what I want for my birthday, and I have no idea. I don't need anything. Nothing I can get as a birthday present. Massive book sales, is what I'd like, but so far I haven't gotten that for my birthday. Well, the bushes are really starting to grow up again after being cut down. Was that just last year? Maybe it was 2 years ago now. They trimmed them down, I think, to make the walkway a bit more open for safety reasons, for visibility reasons. Oh, it looks like they got more landscaping done on the new house over there. The thin ice sign just stays up all year round. All right, here's the bridge. Let's take a look at this here creek, see if we can see if it looks high. It does look high, I think. Higher than last time I came on this way, anyway. There we go, looking into the sun. And then over here we look to the west. Fairly still though, the water, but high. I won't be walking through grass today. I thought I would, but it's clearly... Oh, there's a goose over my head. Clearly the grass is going to be wet, so maybe I won't do what I was thinking of doing, and I'll stick to the pavement. Surprised I haven't run into anybody yet. Usually see someone by now, usually with a dog. Oh, here comes someone. Do they have a dog? Nope, it's just a someone. Oh. Some geese. They look very white. I don't think those aren't Canada geese. Snow geese? Definitely those weren't our ordinary grey Canada geese. All of a sudden there's a bunch of people, including a dog. Like I said, there's always a dog. Yeah, creek is quite high. You can definitely see it along here. Well, we had an inch of rain night before last. Apparently it rained last night. Unless that's just due on these here roads, it's really hard to be sure. So I won't go down in the grassy path by the creek either, because it'll be wet and possibly mosquito-y. Down there I sometimes walk, but I can see the dew glistening on the grass down there, so. I still can't decide if it rained or not. If it did, it must have been in the middle of the night so that it's had time to dry out as the sun rises, wherever the sun is hitting things. Baseball fields. There you can see the spires of the cathedral poking up above the trees. Nice breeze. Field looks a little wet. Coming up on our right is the Horseshoe Club. Over there. The first cyclists of the day. Across Elphinstone we go into Les Sherman Park. Creek is right over there still. And we'll cross it again a little further up here. I'm watching Stranger Things, and it reminds me that I have a book set in the 80s with Stranger Things vibes in a way, which I would love to bring back out, but by the time I do it, the way things are going, Stranger Things will be a memory. I guess there's another season after this year, so the final season is in 2 parts or something. So maybe not too late. I just want to go through it. It needs a rewrite because it's been a long while since I wrote it. In fact, it was shortlisted for the Best First Novel Award at the Saskatchewan Book Awards back in 1997, 25 years ago. So at the time, although it was set in the 80s, it was more or less current. Didn't have to worry about cell phones or anything like that, but I want to keep that vibe and keep it set in the 80s and put a cover on it that hints at Stranger Things. Without being blatantly a ripoff, but a similar font and lighting, that kind of red glowy thing. I like to do all that, and well, maybe sooner than I think, who knows. Looks like I'm going to be writing a play, though. People are going to take up the whole sidewalk, or is somebody going to move out of my way? They decided to. Good morning.
Are you filming us?
And live streaming, actually. And forgot what I was saying. Yes. So anyway, Soulworm it's called, and it will come out in a new edition as soon as I get around to it. Oh yeah, the creek is way high. I thought it was fairly high last time. It's really high this time. You can tell over here some of the trees are actually kind of in the water right now. Thank you, John. So nice and green, but with puddles. I think what I'll do when I get over the other side is get off the path instead of following just the sidewalk over there back, and maybe go down and come back along Regina Avenue, perhaps. Something like that. Haven't done it quite that way for a while. Hello, Jan? Hey, cool. Well, I hope you enjoy your time here. I should get back out there, but I don't have a car, so it might be fall before I get back out and walk around Sask Polytechnic. You may be there before I am. Could go out on the weekend and do it out there. I might. But there's a million places to go on the 1 or 2 days I have a car right now. Actually, next week I might have one. My daughter's off work. One day at least, which means there'll be a car around. And someone else coming to Regina soon. Ben, I think that says. All the best people come to Regina. Well, this is the time to come. Better to be introduced to it in the summer, and then experience the winter after you've been here for a while, and to come here in the dead of winter, especially if you're coming from somewhere warm, it can be a shock. We have quite a few Ukrainian refugees have come to the city in the last month or so. So, although coming from Ukraine, they probably won't find the weather that much of a shock when winter rolls around. There's a robin. One of those birds that tries to run away from you before it finally decides to take flight. Of course, all these puddles are mosquito growing places. I haven't encountered too many mosquitoes, but there's the SARS helicopter up there. That's the Saskatchewan Air Rescue ambulance, air ambulance. What was I saying? Mosquitoes. Haven't encountered too many because I haven't been out too much in the grass. Oh, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Another reason not to walk through the grass. If you're going to find the mosquitoes, that's where they're hiding as the sun gets hotter, in the shade and in the grass. Mosquitoes can be a real pain. And then come August, it's wasp season, and everything you do outdoors, you have to contend with wasps. Barbecues especially, they love meat. Last year we had wasps in the wall of the house somewhere up, and fortunately not in an area that connected to anything. They didn't get in the attic or anything like that, but they were finding their way into the bathroom, crawling in around the light fixtures and coming in through the exhaust fan, so that was annoying. You're coming from the Philippines, you haven't had a Canadian winter yet? Well, that'll be fun. We moved up here from Texas, so I wasn't unfamiliar. I mean, we were in northern Texas in the Great Plains, so we would get sub-zero Fahrenheit temperatures, once or twice a winter. A little bit of snow and at least kind of cold. But we still found it considerably colder here. And people would keep telling us, if we said it was cold, they say, "Oh, you think this is cold? Just wait." But they said that right up till it was 40 below. We realized they were kind of pulling our legs. What's the best way to go? There's probably water on both sides of that. Which way will I get my feet least wet? Or maybe right in the middle. If I walk carefully through the high point down the middle, I think it won't go over the sole of my shoe. It didn't. My feet remain dry. Right up here is where there was flooding in spring when the snow melted. The creek was high enough that it came over the banks right up here at a low point where this other puddle is. You can see now. So that might be what's happening there. It might actually be coming over the bank there. Or it might just be a puddle. Or maybe it came over the bank and then it's receded again. It's definitely not over the bank, but it was in the springtime right here. All right, so we'll carefully make our way through that one too. I'm going to go under the bridge, come up the other side, and then go down the creek on the south side, and then head back through the streets over on that side of the creek. Is my plan. Unless it's so high that it has flooded under the walkway here, but I don't think it's that high. Oh, actually it is that high. No, I won't be doing that. Let's go down and take a look at it though. Looks like the walkway has flooded under the bridge here. At least a little bit. Is it shallow enough to walk through, or no, I'm not going to walk through that. Nope, definitely not walking through that. So yeah, that's how high the creek is. Last time I came this way, I was commenting on it being pretty high. It was about 4 inches below the edge there. And with the rain over 2 nights ago, it's now flooded. All right, we'll go that way then. We'll go up over the bridge. However, around the corner here, as other people have done, you can tell by the path here that it's muddy, so better on the grass. Over the Pasqua Street Bridge. Over the Pasqua Street Bridge. And there's the creek again. There's where the path would have taken us up if I'd been able to follow it any further. And here's the creek on this side. You can see a line down there. That's where the weir is. We'll walk down and take a look at it on this side. Another way you can tell it's high is that it's just kind of a disturbance in the water instead of an actual weir that the water is pouring over. Now, hopefully this isn't too wet. Not too bad. Definitely damp. You can tell by the color of the dirt, but you don't need 20 layers, you just need 3 if they're good ones. If you have a good winter coat, which we will happily sell you, maybe a sweater under that, and a long sleeve shirt under that, you'll be fine. And a toque and gloves, maybe a face mask if you're out a lot. And the hood on your coat is helpful if it's really cold. But if you go back to midwinter, there was one day when it was minus 34 or something with wind chill. I walked around the lake. You can see what it's like in the dead of winter. I mean, I walked pretty much no matter what the weather was doing, within reason. Yeah, so the weir here is normally visible, and today it's just kind of a bump in the water. The creek does not always flow quite that enthusiastically. And there's the Louvain Bridge over there. Go up Edward Street here, which is named after me, so I do like to walk along it once in a while. That's the Louvain. It's the faster north-south route. Then the airport would be just over there, that direction. There's a few other buildings over there. Heading due south at the moment. Sunrise right now is just after 5. Sunset is just after 9. So currently we're getting about 16 hours of daylight. In the winter, sunrise is 9-ish and sunset is 4:30-ish, or maybe even 9:30 to 4:30. So it's more like 7 hours of daylight. short days, long nights. But we're in the southern part of Canada, so you go further north, of course, and eventually get to the Arctic Circle, and there's no sunlight at all for months. But even in Saskatoon, you would notice even a little shorter days. And by the time you get to Prince Albert, I'm sure it's quite noticeable, l'Orange, and you're still only halfway up the province. Farthest north I've ever been is around l'Orange in Saskatchewan. I've been to Yellowknife once, up in the Northwest Territories. In November. The days were already quite short by then. But the weather wasn't too bad at the time. We went dog sledding on that trip, which was fun. My wife was president of the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Saskatchewan at the time, and got to travel around the country quite a bit with her that year. Now she's on the she's chair of the qualifications board for Engineers Canada, so she's still doing some traveling, and I got to go with her to Mont Tremblant in Montreal, in Ottawa. The meeting was in Mont Tremblant in Ottawa. We also went to Montreal, so that was fun. I think we're going to Vancouver this fall. They're not paying my way, Engineers Canada, but I get to go along. My wife will pay my way. And we'll see what else we might do around that trip. Might even go on a cruise, an Alaskan cruise, but that's just a notion that has crossed our minds. We haven't done anything about it yet. But our travel is done for the summer, here until that trip in September. I'm one of the guests of honor for, or special guests, whatever they call them, for When Words Collide, which is a writing conference in August, and way too early if you ask me. They decided not to have it in person this year. Considering I've been to all over the country now, the only time I wear a mask is on the airport, in the airplane and in the airport. It feels very retrograde to cancel something, and CanCon, which I'm tentatively planning to be at in October in Ottawa, it's going to have a mask mandate and vaccination mandate, and that just seems odd at this point. Especially the vaccination thing. If there's one thing we know, it's that vaccinations don't do anything to prevent transmission. That's well established now. Not sure what they're doing here. Oop, that looks like fresh asphalt. I don't think I'll walk on that. One of the places where they put asphalt on the sidewalks instead of just concrete. We'll cross the street here. This is Pasqua, so this is the same street that the bridge was on that we couldn't go under because of the flooding. There is a crosswalk here, but one wants to be certain one is seen as one crosses it. I think we'll just go down and walk straight down Regina Avenue today, which is this intersection up here. It's just a long straight walk. Lots of dogs around. I've only encountered a couple on the walk this morning. It's often more than that, but I have a cat. I don't have to take him for walks, which is one thing I appreciate about cats. That's a senior's home over there. This is Pasqua and Regina Avenue, so if you go down to the next light, you're on the Louvain, and you go on past that and you're heading to the airport. So technically I can walk to the airport about half an hour from home, but one wouldn't want to drag luggage if one were doing that. If I were just going to get on a flight with no carry-on or anything, I could walk. Anywho, taking an Uber or a taxi is still more practical. But we get there in about 10 minutes from leaving our house, so it's where we live is very convenient to the airport. But then most of Regina is not exactly inconvenient, since you can get there in half an hour from anywhere pretty much. Well located for that. If you're coming from the far southeast corner, you can get on the ring road and zip around and then come up Louvain, and there you are. Northeast corner, same thing. I can't imagine it taking more than half an hour to get to the airport from anywhere in the city. Or to anywhere from the airport in the city. Way back in the 70s, when my dad was teaching at Western Christian College down in Weyburn, they were bringing in their first international students. There were a lot of students from Hong Kong that were just looking to get into Canada, so they would come here to school, and then often they would stay. And we started to have quite a few of these Hong Kong students at Western. Had one from Japan too that was not in my class, but just ahead of me. And but I think the first one, my dad came up to pick them up from the airport, and they kept looking around. Where's the city? By Hong Kong standards, there is no city here. By Hong Kong standards, most cities don't look much like cities. And Regina was smaller then. It would have been about 150,000 probably, and it's just somewhere over 200 now, 220, 225, something like that. It has expanded quite a bit since then, but still. Apartment for rent if you're looking. Very handy to the airport. Actually know someone that's in this little nursing home here. We went to his 100th birthday party. He was our next door neighbor for years. My wife's parents and grandparents' next door neighbor. This house is being rented now. We suspect they're going to tear it down at some point, but that'll be sad when they do. Could be wrong, but they show no signs of renovating it. They're just renting it as is. Lots of little apartment buildings along here. Crow overhead. Over there is Sheldon Williams Collegiate. It's where my daughter would have gone to high school if she hadn't gone to Luther, which is a private school instead. She used to go there for the Swamp, the Sheldon Williams area music program, for band practice when she played trombone in 7, 8, and 9, grade 7, 8, and 9. She did not carry on with it in high school. Too many other interests and things to focus on. We own a trombone though. She even took private lessons for a while, but again, it never really grabbed her. Piano was never worked out. We had bad luck with teachers that would start and then stop for whatever reason. A couple of them quit to have a baby or something like that. And then there was another one that we quit because She was an anti-vax, and I'm not talking COVID either. She was against things like measles vaccines and stuff like that. So, and she used her, like she sent out an email to all of her students through the Conservatory of Music telling them that it was dangerous to get vaccinated and they shouldn't do it. And we decided we weren't comfortable with that. I didn't like she was using the Suzuki method, and Alice was too old for it at that point. So that didn't last. And as a result, Alice never really gravitated to the piano. I did, but I didn't take lessons very long. I just kept playing after my lessons were over and got mediocre. I can play a few things. I haven't played now for a couple of years, so I keep meaning to get the piano tuned. I'd like to start playing more, but I've said that for years too. I started guitar lessons, but then they got too expensive, and then I got too busy, so it's all a matter of where your focus is. Even doing this, which I've now been doing for over a year, there are days when I just feel too swamped with all my publishing and writing stuff to go out. Then I feel guilty. So at least I'm at the stage where if I don't do a walk, I feel guilty, which is something. This used to be a Disciples of Christ building, and then it was something else, and it doesn't have a sign right now, but it's being tended, so I assume there's a church in there. I don't know what else you would put in there, but there's no sign, so I don't know for sure. And a bit of a strip mall over here. There's a convenience store and various offices and things, and a restaurant in this little complex over here. I think I will dip down to the left and see if we can get down to the waterfall park, see if the waterfall's running. And then there'll be a little bit of a repeat of the path I've already taken, but not much of one. Then I'll be home. Back to work and getting ready for this interview I'm doing at 10 o'clock with author Don Ireland. There's a middle name there too, but I forget what it is. I think because there's more than one Don Ireland. There's a romance writer named Don Ireland, and this is not that Don Ireland. So I think she uses her middle name in her byline. Anyway, since I'm talking to her today and I have somebody else this Sunday, it'll be 2 Sundays from now when hers goes live. I've already got a couple of others I'll be doing lined up, so I'm good through the end of August. And the question is if I keep doing it or not. That'll be kind of the end of my 4th year. I probably will. It's not a huge time sink since I quit doing full transcripts. I wish I was still doing full transcripts, but even with automated transcription software, there's too much editing involved. It would take me hours to do those. It feels a bit like you're stepping into a little corner of the mountains here with the pine trees and the sound of water when the waterfall's running. Let's see if it's running. Careful on the steps. I think it's running. Certainly sounds like it. Yep, it's running right there. There's the waterfall. Not a natural waterfall, obviously. I turn it on and off as they require it, but it's quite pretty. Nice to see. Thank you, Kelly, is it? Sorry, the sun's in my eyes. Kitty. Kitty? Thank you. So a nice little waterfall here. All the best people have lived in Regina at some point. So it comes out here, and then there's a little creek it flows through over to there. Don't drink it though. I think it comes straight from the creek, would be my guess. It's the only thing that makes sense. I wouldn't be wasting city treated water. Alright, so we will go back along this little path here to the footbridge. You always have to get over the bridge. And just 2 or 3 more blocks and we'll be home. Well, I'll be home. We probably already are home. I think those were snow geese that flew over me earlier this morning. I don't think they were pelicans. Didn't have that luck. They had black wingtips, but I don't think they were whooping cranes. They didn't have the long legs. I've seen those in flight only a couple of times in my life. Rare as they are. I read a book as a kid about the efforts, it was in the Elgin School Library in Weyburn, so I was 8 or 9 or 10, about the efforts to save the whooping crane. At the time they were down to like, I don't know, 50 some whooping cranes in the wild. And it worked out. They're still around. It's not a lot of them, I'm sure, but I haven't checked the numbers recently. But they summer way up north, maybe even in northern Saskatchewan. And then they winter at the Aransas National Wildlife Refuge down on, I think it's on the Gulf Coast, at least southern Texas. So they fly over Saskatchewan during their migration, and that's when I saw them one year. A formation of 4 of them, I think, overhead. And partly because I was attuned to whooping cranes from reading that book as a kid. I was still a kid when I saw them, teenager probably. I recognized them. Back over the footbridge. Looks the same as when I crossed it earlier. This time we'll go down down the street here. See how they're doing on all their work with the water mains and everything. For some reason they're running water through pipes along here while they work on, I guess, something underground, but I don't quite understand it. It's been like this for quite a while. It's the house I was talking about. They were just building that back when I started walking, and now it's mostly done. It looks like their landscaping is largely done as well. It's a pretty house. It takes 2 lots. It's a big house. Mixture of old and new houses down here. And mid-range, that's a oldish house now, but still newish compared to the stuff that was here originally. I actually lived next block over on Garnet when I first moved to the neighborhood, in a house that was built during or just after the First World War, just a little box of a place. And it's still there. And you also have these, which were probably built in the 50s or 60s. So it is a mixture. Oh, I know this street. Right there is where I fell on November 11th on the ice. I'm going to walk on it just to prove that I won't fall this time. I was coming along here, and of course it slopes down a little bit, and the ice had just settled in. And a dog started barking in this yard right here. And I looked that way, and my foot slipped, and down I went. If you go back to November 11th, you can watch me fall down. Then I resumed, because I didn't want people to think I died. Didn't hurt myself too much. Hurt myself a little. At 6'2" and 210 pounds. When I fall hard, which is why I really like to avoid it. It's the only time I fell on the ice during the winter. I fell in the snow once when it was deeper than I thought it should be, and my foot went in further than I thought it would. But that was just kind of dropping to my knees in the snow. No big deal. So this would be an older house here, or this one. Of course, our house will be 100 years old in 4 years. I'll have to have some special house party for that. I'll be officially a senior citizen by then. I can already get seniors discounts at the places that decide to give it to you at 55. I've been able to do that for years, and now 60, I can do that. But I turned 63 today, so in 2 years, I'll be a senior citizen everywhere, I think. But hey, I can start collecting Canada Pension if I want, which will subsidize all the other stuff I'm doing. Because retirement is not something that a freelancer does, really. You just work as long as you can. Doing what you love to do, hopefully. Which I mostly am. Lots of fresh air this morning. It's very nice because of the rain we've had. I think it must have rained last night. I've been trying to figure that out. I thought it was clear, but there's lots of dampness on the roads. It's possible it was just dew in the trees because the humidity was so high and temperature dropped so much. There's another dog or two. So it feels very fresh, and the air is very clean and dust-free, which is nice, especially if you wear contacts like me. Leopold Crescent. Haven't mentioned for a while, but there's a Linda Carter movie from the 90s or even the 80s. Must be from the 90s, early 90s, that they filmed in this house. This was their set, and they filmed both inside and outside. So our neighborhood here, I lived on Garnet Street at the time, had like American post office boxes on the corner, and there were American cop cars because it was some sort of cop story. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember them shooting it here. Linda Carter, never saw her, but I was that close. The original Wonder Woman. And this whole neighborhood won an award in a U.S. magazine for one of North America's best old house neighborhoods, because we still have so many of the old houses left, and they're being kept up. Our exterior needs work, but the interior has been redone. Taking out the lath and plaster, putting in drywall, that kind of thing. And now we're putting a little extension on the back, if the ground ever dries up. Alrighty, that's the end. I will stop here. And thanks, Janet, for the happy birthday. And goodbye for now.